Hello. Welcome to winter. Good evening. We don't get much rain at all, but we're copping a bit tonight. Coming up from the Antarctic. It's cold, it's wet. We don't get a lot of this stuff, so we don't really whinge about it. It's good to have. The wind's picking up. The ship is rocking from side to side. I hope we make port by dawn. No, we don't get a lot of rain. And where the rain's actually dripping on the paving here is coming from this section of the roof where it's overflowing. We're ripping this off, ripping that old wall out. So there won't be any more rain down there in the next few months. Hopefully something starts happening in the next month on the house. Looking forward to it. Not whinge me at the old cottage. Cottage is nice. We've done it up pretty good. It's very comfortable, warm, no leaks. Might have a wee Scot visit in Australia. Actually, I know there's so many Scotsmen in Australia anyway, Fuka, it's unbelievable. Irish, Scotsmen, yeah, we got millions of them. They actually have Highland Games in Australia. You're both, that's right, you told me. Half Irish and half Scottish. You're at war with yourself all the time. Crossing the Irish Sea, not knowing which way to row. Ireland. Back home to Scotland. Or is it home to Ireland? Irish Sea, I crossed it recently. Flat as a pancake. It can get rough, but it was a mill pond when we come across. Just a mist across the water. Beautiful. Cold though. We left Dublin and it was cold, mainly because of the wind. So it's amazing how people get seasick even when it's flat calm. Yeah, apparently you can. I don't know how far it is across, but it's not that far. We're getting squalls with this rain, like pretty quiet at the moment. It's just raining a bit, and then you get this chairs go flying everywhere. Rain. Oh, I mean, there's some not very flat seas in my country. Some savage waters. I used to fish and do tourist charters. I used to charter people out on my boat, and we'd go across to a group of islands called the Abrolhos, and rough. Normally when the sea breeze coming, because you know anything about the ocean, you've got tide, and then you've got wind, and if they happen to be going on an obtuse angle, you get this happening. 6, 10, 12-foot waves, and then the wind blowing the other way. Hello, Lollis. Yeah, it's wet and windy from time to time. Yeah, we got some big trade winds off the coast of Australia. The reason why Australia wasn't found until about 1550 by the Dutch, by the way, not the English, was because the trade winds actually come up to the coast and push away. So they had this effect that, you know how ships follow the trade winds, well, they get pushed away. Well, then it was a tropical time of the year when the Dutch East Indies ships arrived, and that trade wind just blew straight towards the coast. But yeah, they came and landed on Australia, and the Dutch said, "It's very hot, I don't want this land." And then they went home. It's a true story. Yeah, I don't know, 12 wrecks I know of, Dutch ships. A famous one just off the coast was found by a friend of mine, a diver. It's called the Batavia. And they actually built a replica of it. Not very big, but they come all the way from the other side of the planet, and then they hit a reef. Good morning, VMAC. Cold, wet and windy here. Sort of Canadian weather. Welcome to Canada. It's either frozen or wet. We've got a lake that opens up in my state. It's called Lake Eyre. And it's a reservoir, so water gets fed into it. But during peak rain season, it multiplies by about 20, and the desert just becomes an inland ocean, if you like, for a very short time. But soon after that, when the water recedes, in the middle of nowhere, and I mean this sincerely, in the middle of nowhere, I'm getting wet now, you have a desert full of flowers, like you would think a florist has been out there. It is unbelievably beautiful. Really, really is good. I don't know, is Mystic in here? Hello, Mystic. How are you? It's wet out here, and the trade winds are blowing. And I think most of the crew are mutinying. Yeah, VMAX, she's got knives in her mouth, and she's jumping on the main mast and calling for the crew to take us down. I'm just going to burn the ship and take a little rowboat. Bye. Enjoy. Bye. Cheech and Chong leave Canada today. Oh, that's... I don't know whether that's good or bad. Maybe they could go a little bit further north. You know, you can see Russia from Alaska. Whenever I think of people like that on YouTube, I think of that old song, Can You Spare a Dime? Do you remember that one? It goes back early part of the 20th century. And it's very appropriate. It's talking about how, you know, I had work and I didn't have work, and but can you spare a dime? Well, some people take that literally, where they don't want to work and they want all your dimes. Countdown to the long weekend, 2 more days. Well, you don't work Fridays anyway, VMAC. Well, that's true, you're a day behind, so it's Wednesday, Thursday you're working. I get it. Yes, long weekends when I used to work full time, I used to love looking forward to a long weekend. Bring out the life jacket and some coffee for the crew. You want some coffee, crew? Ah, Captain. 12 coffees. Thank you. Canada Day is Monday. Canada's a sort of a strange land, as in, I wonder what parts and province won't be celebrating Canada Day. Quebec, does that celebrate Canada Day? Or do they wait for Bastille Day? Oh, the wind's died down again. See that little gust that came in a minute ago? You want coffee? Eine Tasse Kaffee, mein Lieben. Danke. Bitte. Shh. What's the other one? I'm trying to speed you up. How does it say in German? Speed up is... no, it's not Sturm, that's shut up. Schnell! Schnell! Eine Tasse Kaffee, schnell! Quebec does celebrate Canada Day and La Monday, as they had St. Jean Beer Day. Oh, I'll get you. I do know, I got a French-Canadian friend that he says he's more Canadian than French. Sounds French, but doesn't deny his heritage. He certainly loves his French heritage. But he tells me that the very different parts of Canada are just very different. Like in some parts it's Canadian or English, and then in some parts it's bit of both, and then some parts you'll only hear French. Parlez-vous français? Non, parlez-vous français, monsieur, madame. G'day, Bucky. How did your dinner go? Did you end up cooking them up, or are you doing that tonight? They're so simple and delicious. One of the things you can do, whatever leftovers you've got in the fridge, like if it's a bit of ham, whatever, and I'll tell you what goes well in that mix, if you get some prawns or shrimp, whatever you guys call them there, and chop them pretty fine and throw them in the mix as well. Sort of a prawn, and then it sort of does take on the mock fish side of things, like prawn cakes basically. But you can do anything with that mix. The potatoes, the bind, you can put all sorts of things in there. And cheap, you know, you can buy a bag of about 10 pound of spuds here for about $3 or less. If you were doing it tough, you could live off potatoes for the week. So for about $3 you can live off them. You'd probably be looking forward to something else by the end of the week, but no, it's just the word VMAC. In my country we get prawns this big, little ones, and prawns, oh no, kid you, we call them litre prawns, about 14, 15 inches long. They're still called prawns wherever they are. Shrimp comes from the US, just about the only place, because I'm pretty sure in Mexico they call them prawns. In Europe they're prawns. You can get things like langoustines, which I know Fuka would know all about langoustines. We've got several big gulfs in the top part of Australia, Gulf of Carpentaria, and what it is, there are seasons that they fish just for prawns, and they get unbelievable amounts. These things swirl around in the deep Gulf, and just magnificent. I mean, you go down and buy some fresh prawns. Most Aussies will do the simple thing. They'll boil up their prawns, make a seafood dip, and then sit down and peel the prawns and whack it in the dip and eat it. I particularly like raw prawn meat with the tail on, either butterflied and opened up, egg and breadcrumbed, or battered. That's how the wife likes it. And I've got some in the freezer. So I'm going to make me honey sesame prawn dish shortly. But I know the wife doesn't like these, but a bit of pork mince and a bit of shrimp cut up, minced if you like, put together, to make exquisite prawn and pork patties. You know, you pat them out. You can put all sorts of things in there. Egg and breadcrumb them, fry them, like a croquet basically. Honey goes with everything. We go through an amazing amount of honey in this house. Oh, I see. So if you saw, okay. Well, I'll give you an idea how big seafood in Australia is. On Easter or around Christmas, fish markets are huge in Australia. They're monstrous things. They can trade round about, Sydney once set a record of about $800 million worth of seafood one day. Everyone sort of eats fish most of the year, but they make a big deal out of it Easter and Christmas. A lot of people don't eat fish on Good Friday. A lot of people don't eat fish on Fridays, full stop. But some of these people aren't religious. It's traditional, if you know what I mean. They don't see it as the traditional way of doing it. It's basically just tradition, not religious, which is interesting. But seafood is abundant in this country. We're very fortunate. We have only 24 million or 25 million people, and the country's really big. Plenty of coastline, and no one, and I mean no one, can fish within 200 miles of the mainland, or we're going to burn your boat. That's what Australian authorities do. Oh, you've been fishing inside our waters. No worries. Hop on board this, get down below in the brig, and we're going to set it. You, captain, can stay on deck because we've just put petrol all over your boat. We're going to put a match to it. Yeah, that's right. It's not just Catholics that do that, but it's one of those things, you know, don't eat meat on Good Friday type thing. But for some people who are not religious, they still follow it. They're just not religious. I'm missing some of the text. I apologise because my iPhone lets it pop up, and then so I've got to speed read the best I can. I heard, let's see, someone put something about Brizzy, and that's all I saw. I apologise. But fish markets in Australia are monstrous places. They're huge. Hello, Vinny. I don't know what the Melbourne fish market is. I know they got one, but all over Australia we've got massive, big fish markets. How did your 12 kiloton nuclear cooking process go with your steak? Did it blow up like I thought it might? I wasn't going to tell you that. I was waiting for you to do the video. I was going to watch it. Trying to bloom up any ideas about to get friggin' out. See, it's the quality of the wok, Vinny. If you've got tempered steel, it's already been seasoned. Now, the best way to know if you get a seasoned pot, normally if your pot's sort of shaped like that, the bottom half will be a lot lighter. All right, even though you'll try and season the whole wok, the literal sense is that you just heat the bottom of a good quality wok up, put oil in, and it will just go white, if you like. But you only cook in the bottom third of a wok generally. If you've got more than a third of a wok full of food, there's too much food in your wok. So if half of it gets seasoned down the bottom, and they do it 5, 6, 7 times, just like normal cast iron. But the best thing I can tell you, mate, is go to a Chinese restaurant, ask nicely, I'd like to buy one of your old seasoned wok. Some of these woks will be 50, 60, could be 100 years old. If they're willing to part with it, no harm in asking is what I'm saying. You'll end up with a good wok. But a wok is a lot different than a heavy, thick cast iron pan, which is, see, a wok heats up rapidly, whereas a big, thick cast iron pan heats up, but unevenly to start with, and then slowly. That's why you wait until your cast iron pan's smoking a little bit, and then you whack your steak in. But yeah, you got more Chinese in Melbourne than they've got in Beijing, mate. One of them's going to be able to sell you a wok. I would, you know, I'll be honest, you could be paying up to a couple $100 for a real decent one. But yeah, that's where I'd go. Wok Yan. See, I'm missing half the conversation here. Normally my wife's sitting over here saying, oh no, this is what VMAX said. I'm going, good, so I miss it. But what are you going to cook, Vinny? What's the go with the wok? Are you thinking of doing a few different dishes, or copper so I can handle a little bag hot dog? I still think they'll explode, mate. It's the water content in meat that you whack all that through. It's going to cook. Definitely going to cook in bits. I have a feeling it will explode. But it'll be a great video, let's be honest. We often just have stir-fry veggies, to be honest. Daughter come round the other day and whacked up a bit of stir-fry. I like cashews in my stir-fry. If we got them, I chuck them in. But stir-fry's pretty easy to do. But woks, you can go online and you'll see woks for $50 and maybe $80. You're still only getting what you pay for. That's what I'm saying. If you go to Kmart, you're definitely going to get what you pay for. Like I say, if you've ever seen a really good old wok used in a Chinese restaurant, they're heavy. They're usually pretty decent size. Yes, fantastic. He still needs to rest though. If you're listening, Tucker, just kick back a little bit, mate. We're still thinking of you, but you certainly do need... Oh yeah, there's Kmart in Australia, everywhere. And you know, you get some pretty cheap, decent stuff for the kitchen and the bedroom and bits and pieces. It's sort of a mixture store. Yeah, we're always going to charity shops. Yeah, nothing wrong with the hubcap. I'm going to tell you a little secret with that, Vinny. When I was a young bloke and travelling around Australia, you can find little round, you know, grates, metal grates, like they're a cake grate, round ones. And I had an old FB hubcap. I was driving a Ford Anglia, but I had an FB hubcap. So I would go buy those, you know, the heat beads. So I would heat all these beads up in the bottom of the hubcap. Then I'd put the grill on top and I'd cook my dinner, and I'd also keep warm for the next 3 or 4 hours. I call it the hubcap oven. Maybe you and I should get together and market it. These Americans will buy anything. But it worked a treat, trust me. Probably about, so you get about 12 or 13 of them little heat beads in there, get it going, have a couple of beers, put the grill on top, and normally the grill would sit about half an inch above, so you just put a fry pan on top and cook your dinner. And seriously, those heat beads go for a good 4 or 5 hours. Just shake the tin if it gets a bit low, and yeah, I tell you what they do is make a good backyard fire. I helped 2 guys weld, you know what I'm talking about, upside down, create a chamber. Hardest bit's cutting out the bloody door, but yeah, they make great outdoor heaters for your shed. Yeah, like a pot belly. They look cool actually when they're done. You get the, my mate actually had a blaster, a sand blaster, so they come up real spiffy. You still see me every now and then on Gumtree and places like that, because people don't know what they are. They say, sort of a fire thing for sale, $50, take it off my hands. It costs you about $300 to make one if you're lucky these days. If you were lucky. But they're really good because they basically retain all the heat. The fire can be out, and 2 hours later you're still getting warmth off it. If you guys want a real cheap portable oven or hot plate, find an old metal hubcap, get some heat beads, find a little grill that sits inside it. You'll find it, you just got to look around. Maybe even Kmart or somewhere like that, cheap shop. And then you stick it on top and you've got yourself a barbecue or a hot plate to throw your fire pan on. Works. I used it for a couple of years travelling around as a young bloke. Worked a treat. And whenever you go, all I used to do is dig a little hole next to where that was and tip out if there's any heat still in it, cover it with sand. I didn't cause any bushfires. Hubcap hot plate. There's a lot of, even around in where I live in Perth, there's heaps of people with fires, but firewood is so expensive. You can go into the bush, you get a licence from the forestry department, you can go and pick up tons and tons and tons of the stuff. But then you've got to get a trailer and you've got to get a chainsaw. The most efficient heating is a reverse cycle room air conditioner, not a whole house. I always laugh at people when they put air conditioner ducted and then they cool down or heat up the whole house. No one's in room 4, 5 and 6. No one's in that, no one's in there. You're just in the lounge. A little reverse cycle air conditioner. We set our bedroom reverse cycle on 18 on heat, and that's not hot, 18 degrees Celsius, but if it's 3 degrees Celsius outside, bloody cozy, and it hardly ticks over. It's like so it doesn't, and we've had energy bills here and they'll disappear shortly when we get solar, but it doesn't use much, so we're happy enough with that. I can hear the kitchen. There's movement in the kitchen as the wife turned the kettle on. Have you turned the kettle on, wife? Oh, there we go. It looks like a scene from Titanic. And Kate thrust her hand up against the wall and he's doing the business. Fogging up the screen. Every night in my dreams, I feel you. Mm-hmm. Hello, Nicolesca. Did you see I left a little note for you? I looked into my crystal ball, Nicole. The only normal day you're going to have is in 2043. It's going to be shit from now to then. But then again in October of 44, you're going to have another good day. Wasp. What's wrong with you, you big girl? And then you killed it. You bloody murderer. You just better hope you don't come back as a wasp next time. Hmm? We don't even kill flies. We just shoot them through the back door and say, get out. But no, Nicole got the old... Yeah, I mean, yeah, they can... I've been bitten by a wasp. Made me scream and shout, trust me. It was on, you know that soft bit on the back of the arm? When you're leaning against a chair? You go, yeah, if the blossoms go, you got nothing. Then you end up with a lot of leaves and no fruit. The thing about bees, when they sting you, they die. So they pay a price if you get stung by a bee. A wasp can sting you about 1,000 times and just fly away going, ha, ha. We get what we call a paper wasp, and it is about big, can be about 3 inches, 4 inches long. They get them in Melbourne too. I know if Vinny's there, they get all sorts of wasps, but the paper wasp's got a black bum on it. Cream prawn creamed udon noodles today. Nice. As far as prawns go, we love them. I'll be doing a dish shortly myself, my honey sesame battered prawns. I'll tell you what I am going to show that a lot of people, Nicole, because I get asked. They talk about like a rice dish, side dish. And you go to the restaurant, you can buy all sorts. You can buy white rice, you can buy the big fandangled mixture rice. But it's so simple to do. One of the things, first thing I do, obviously you boil the rice, put it aside, and I get about 3 or 4 eggs and put them in a big non-stick pan. And I'll add a bit of flavouring in there, and then I just let it cook like a flat omelette, if you like. It's only about 2 or 3 mil thick. And then when it's finished, I just roll it up, and I just put it on the breadboard and let it cool down. And then later I just give it a little choppy. Yeah, the fine chiffonade all the way through. And then cut it down the middle, and there's little tiny strings of egg with all bits in it. I usually throw in some dried shallots when I cook that and some different flavourings. And then I'll cook some bacon. I don't like ham in rice. You can add stock to rice when you cook it. You can get that sort of flavour going. But so I've got rice, I've got all the bits and pieces like if there's leftover pork, chopped up fine, leftover this, that and the other, and then the egg, and then some more dried shallots, and you stir it around, and then you just, each portion, I put a little bit of olive oil in a pan, tiny little bit of honey soy or whatever I like, and then you've got this stir-fried rice. And it's so simple to make. We bought a stir-fried rice probably about, we got lazy, ordered in, about 2 months ago. $16 for a stir-fried rice. $16. I could feed a family of 9 for about 9 months on that. It costs nothing to make stir-fried rice, usually because you look in the fridge and go, yep, some of those, a bit of this, a bit of that. Press 1 if you need help. Is she still there? I've got the camera, security camera, turning to the kitchen. She might be on the dunny, I'm not sure. Press 1, she's in trouble. Look, see? I got lucky when I started this hangout because it looked good at the start, and then this big squall came in. Now it's died down a little bit. Yeah, if you cool your rice down, it's a lot easier. And I make rice both ways, either absorption, where I boil the rice from cold water to boiling, probably for about 3 minutes. Then I put the lid on, turn it off, and wrap a great big bloody towel around the pot and just forget about it. And about an hour later, hour and a half, whatever, just get the forks all fluffy, or I'll cook it in boiling water and keep stirring it until I get the, that's perfect, strain it, and then let it cool down. But you did right, cold rice is a lot easier to work with for stir fries, because you've got that cleansing of the starch basically, because it's loose. The problem people make the biggest mistake is they'll cook rice and then add all the stuff together, and then it's all cloggy, because you need cold rice. Yeah, I don't do times, and I've always worked on the principle of that much rice and about that much water. That's good. So people go, oh no, I need to know. I've got to know, is it 3/4 of a cup of water or 7/8? I don't know. That's why people don't really follow my cooking, because they go, you don't do any measuring. I go, no, I don't.
Like if I had gone to bed.
What?
You didn't have the key in the back door.
Yeah.
And you closed it.
I'd have been, let me in.
I could hear you talking in the lounge.
Could you? Oh, well, I'll just mime from now on.
I didn't even have my sound on.
Yeah, no, I don't use short grain rice and stir fry. I do like basmati as a general
I
rule.
better show everyone I got out. I got out. I'm here.
Read them.
Bzzz. I'm with Nicole.
Yeah, but you
Wasps.
don't kill them, you shoot them.
No, a wasp, get out. I friggin' get a tennis racket.
Our wasps are huge, Nicole. I don't know how big yours was, but big here. And I always, the little buggers, you'll have this beautiful hot summer's day and people are in the pool and then a couple of wasps come round. Kids going everywhere. Because they're nasty little buggers when they sting you. I'm sure it happens, but I know you're more likely to die from the bee sting than you are from a wasp. It's a different toxin. Still hurts like shit. Hence, like I say, at the back of the arm when I leant against a chair, big wasp. Yeah, brown rice. Actually, you like the wild rice every now and then, don't you? It takes brown rice and wild rice. It's like, is it ready yet? Are we there yet? No. But as a rule, with most of my cooking, basmati probably. There's so many different jasmine rice. You know what I'm saying, Nicole. There's all different short grain rice. Now that's rice pudding country, Nicole. Rice pudding, short grain rice. Love rice pudding. And you've got sushi rice. I don't know how many rices there are. There must be millions of them. Yeah, they have a special rice for sushi. Spanish rice, yep. There's actually a Sri Lankan rice, and I kid you not, it's about an inch long, the grain. It's enormous. But they use that specifically for a goat dish, apparently. So it's a very rare rice. I don't think I'd like, stir-fried rice with great clumps of rice. All I got from Bucky was just kidding. Did he say something else?
I like Rice Krispies.
Mm.
No, yuck. Oh, Rice Krispies is cereal. No, yeah, we like them. I thought you meant those rice cakes. The ones that they make in Indonesia are so bland and horrible.
Our sister lives in Indonesia, and she'll bring these rice cakes over. It's like, have you got the packaging? Because I'm sure there's some taste in the cardboard, because there's no taste in these damn things. I mean, for the kids, you always make those little cocoa and sugar coated, sticky. What do they call them again? In the cupcakes with the like a cocoa pop finish, basically with the cocoa.
God.
We call them something anyway.
Chocolate crackles.
Chocolate crackles is what we call them. I thought you'd be. I know you like your Korean, but I thought you'd be also, and you're doing it tonight. Your noodle, but like pho, PHU. It's universal all around the world, wherever you go, particularly in Asian countries, obviously. But you get a bowl of pho. I'm not kidding. We weigh about £3. It's got chicken, prawn, beef, noodles, veggie, chili. It's yum. And you have that many versions of pho. Or actually, in Vietnam, they do it. The pronunciation is pho, like off a cat's back, pho. But there's so many varieties of it. There's Malaysian, there's Singapore. Singapore and Malay have more like a curry base than a beef stock type chili. China has their Szechuan. But it's all basically the same thing. You get a big bowl full of noodles and stock and veggie. And it's like $2 tops.
No, it's you, VMAC.
Yeah, that's the secret, Nicole. It's actually the stock. If you get a slow cooker, but you've got to cook your bones first, you've got to whack that. If you're doing any sort of beef stock, you've got to get big chunky bones from the butcher, chuck them in the oven for about an hour on medium high, and you can season them if you a bit like. Then you get a big pot and put all the stuff in there and then turn it on and forget about it. And some restaurants I know cook for 3 days. Yeah, it's a long process, but it's worth it because you can freeze stock. It's basically a bone broth is what you're doing. Just clear your cache. Mine or?
I think VMAC.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of those things. If you've got my grandmother took the time to tell me how this particular big pot, what it was a pot that used to be what they call them, a deep steamer, you know what I'm talking about. But they changed the lid so it was just a pot, but it was real, stainless steel, big pot. And I'd go around there, she'd be throwing in chicken bones and carrots and whatever's out the garden, swede, turnip, anything would go in there. And then there'd be bones going in there. And then you get there probably about a week later, same pot, and she'd dip you out something and always had a bit of pearl barley in there as well. Bits of meat floating around, mainly just veggie and stock. She would cook that particular pot non-stop. What do I mean by that? I don't remember her taking the pot off. It was always at the back of the stove, which means it's getting about a fifth of the heat. But that was very common. Like, she'd obviously looked in the morning and think, yeah, it's getting a bit low, bit of this, bit of that. It's something that was very common when I was a kid. Everyone sort of did it. I knew more about it from my grandmother because when I used to go there, she'd have this thing going. It smelled magnificent all the time. Oxtail would go in there, whatever. It was mainly bones with all the marrow bone in there, which has got all the goodies for you, for your body. And always pearl barley and plenty of, like say, veg from the garden. Everyone grew vegetables, everyone. No one was an exception. And so cabbage, everything you can imagine out of the garden get chucked in there. Chuck a couple of eggs, raw eggs in the soup.
Oh, my mum used to do that.
They do that all over the world. They call it different things in different parts of it. Called drop soup in some countries.
Yeah, my mum used to do that, especially in the Roman noodles. Oh, I just don't like that.
Yeah, egg drop, but they call it drop soup in most Asian countries. They know it's an egg, you know what I mean?
My eggs have to
But they normally do it at the very last bit. You'll get your broth, you get your noodles, you get your whatever, and they'll put a raw egg in there. And they usually just do that. It emulsifies into the... What's in the cup? This one? Coffee. Hello, Keeping. Do you want to buy a white door now, Keeping? Actually, we're going to keep that. We'll probably build a shed down the back and that. It's a good door. It's got all the keys. It's not as flash as the door we got on now, but it's still been on this house for 70 years. That's how old the cottage is.
Might incorporate it under the breakfast buffet sideways
What for?
because it would look different.
easier to make a door of a shed,
I imagine the breakfast buffet
because that door's coming off too.
and put it,
I know what you mean, like a feature
yeah,
wall because of the panelling. She's talking about the panelling.
yeah, put it
Like
over
3
the
panels,
bar.
put it sideways at the end of the breakfast bar.
As the base of the breakfast bar.
Yep. I have tried some of these, you know, you go to markets around the world and they'll have these 100-year-old eggs. And I think I'm going to give it a go.
Ooh.
And it smelt bad. And it tasted worse. And then there's a guy down the road from the stall I was on selling boiled eggs with little chickens inside. Yeah, bit of dipping sauce. No. They've got a dish in India called cutie pie. It's horrendous for us Westerners, but it's a baby goat that's not actually been born yet. They cut it out of the mother, and then they cook the fetus. It's called cutie pie.
I don't know that, like imagine Nicole knows. What's that Filipino?
Chicken in the egg it's basically, they'll know. G'day, JP. They'll know that it's an embryo in there. You can tell when you pick up an egg. So they boil it up so it's not hatched, but it's nearly. Some of these eggs I've seen that have on the stand in Asian countries, even the fetus has got little feathers on it. Tiny little, yeah. And they just...
Well, I suppose it's their culture, whatever.
See, I'll eat any bug. I've been to Thailand, I don't mind any of the bugs. Some are a bit sweet, some are a bit bitter. But if I had to, I could live off bugs.
Somebody must have accidentally got an egg with a fetus in it and cooked it and thought, oh, this is a good delicacy. So people must have come across it accidentally, but it's their culture. Everybody's different, but I just can't fathom.
No,
eating
it's
that.
like you get. It's how people eat. Like a lot of people in different cultures cook their food for hours, and in some other cultures they really cook it very quickly, and in some other cultures they just eat it raw. Same produce, culturally differently presented in each different country.
Well, the Eskimos eat seal meat raw, the blubber and all that.
Yeah, I know when they catch narwhal, the Inuits they treasure the fat off the narwhal, which is the big horny. No, Nicole, don't say anything. Big horny looking sort of, well, big dolphin really. But they catch very few of them, but they do treasure them when they do catch them. I'm pretty sure it's called narwhal. I could be wrong.
But they,
Not from that part of the world. Don't hold it against me. Yep, the ocean unicorn.
they eat like all of the seal. They'll just eat it raw with meat, blubber and everything.
Yeah, when I was a kid in this country, in my state, in one of the big towns down south called Albany, they were whaling when I came to this country. And probably took, I don't know, 76, 77 for it to end. There's no real need for Westerners because it's not a cultural food. They were caught primarily for lipstick and stuff. Yeah.
The French have the live chicken, the egg dish. Oh no.
Like I say, I've been to countries where they eat stuff and I'm thinking, I won't eat that. And it's like, it's their normal food. So I don't knock it. It's just like I'm thinking, I don't have to eat it. But food all over the world, it's very cultural. Like in the Western society, I'm sure Nicole would agree with me, and you guys in Canada, you generally, when you were younger, would eat at a table. Fish and narwhal in Canada, Arctic, they are close band, added to the protected. Yeah, but I know the Inuits are still allowed to hunt them. I don't judge another culture for the food, but pick and take. Yep, that's what you've got to do, Nicole. You pick and choose from bits and pieces. They are. In fact, there's more protein in insects than there is in the same amount of any meat you can think of. There's far more protein. Yeah, I think the culture of the Inuits changed too with modern, everything modern coming, TVs, fridges, supermarkets, let's be honest. But it's like certain tastes. You'll go from one, if you've been to Asian countries, you go from one to the other. They make a similar dish, but they whack more coriander in it, and a bit more lime, a bit more fish sauce. Same dish in a different country. Malaysia will have a little bit more of a curry tinge to it, or turmeric, and all the things that make curry up, you know what I mean? So it's where you go, culturally, there are traditional dishes. JP's been to Thailand, and I've been there a couple of times, and the variety of food is unbelievable. There's plenty of Western food in all the Asian countries you go to, but the local food's really good. A lot of people just won't try it. They'll go, nah. But give it a go. If you don't like it, you don't have to have it again, as Nicole says. But you can travel through, if I was younger and travelling through Asia, I could live comfortably on about $5 a day. And I mean comfortably. You can get a room for a dollar or two, little bunkhouse. You can get $2 in most Asian countries is your whole day's food. And beer's pretty cheap if you want to have a few cold ones. A lot of people won't travel these days. I don't know why. Australians still travel. I don't think, JP, you can answer for me if you like, but I don't think I've been on any part of the planet in the sort of remotest areas, and the first thing you hear is a bloke saying, "How you going, mate?" Australians are everywhere. We've already dominated. We've taken over the whole planet. You just don't know it.
Well, you left your mark. What did you say? You peed in Ireland,
Yep.
Wales, whatever. You've left your mark everywhere.
Yep, I figure I'm just like my ancestor, the big Vikings. If I pee on a tree in a country, I own that country. All right? I'm letting you stay there for as long as I so fit. But I've urinated in Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England. It's all mine. So there.
Wouldn't everyone freak if there was hands at the windows now because I'm out
Oh
here?
yeah, that'd scare 'em. Dun, 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 dun. It is a naughty love sitting. Oh, you can have France. I'm not interested in France. Actually, I don't want England because there's no Englishmen left in there. It's a husk. Only the old buildings indicate there was any English there at any given time. And most of the good ones are actually built by the French. You know what I mean, Nicole? All the big castles that are still standing, the French built. Castles are just, they're stunning places. You can feel the history, you can sense it, you can imagine it if you like, but it's quite wonderful going through those castles, isn't it?
Oh, love it. I would have liked to have stayed in one, but we didn't get a chance to. JP did. I think he stayed in the castle.
Yeah, you would have been in the dungeon though, JP. Trespassing. Yeah, don't talk about. What did the Romans ever do for us? I'm going that far back now. Well, we're going to the aqueducts, sewage system, toilet, roads, education programs. Yeah, but other than that, what did the Romans give us? Most of the roads in the UK are old Roman roads. Do you know what Britain has been very good at? And now you weigh up the pros and cons of history. What Britain has been good at is war. Been very good at that. Until the French came, of course, 1066. Now you will be called Frenchmen. But at the time, France and England was a bit weird because part of England was in France.
That reminds me.
Did you know that? For a very long time, part of England was in France.
That reminds me, Nicole, you have to...
Hello, Scarlett.
Well, you don't have to, but if you could, would be good. Go back to that church when you were doing your first time streaming thingy, whatever you call it.
That's it, Bucky. It's called Brittany.
And you showed that
Still
church,
called Brittany,
Nicole.
strangely enough.
If you could go back to that and maybe go inside, would be really cool. If you did a video on that.
Oh, Spears. Yeah,
I
Johnny.
still can't hear me.
Give her the groove, Johnny. You're about, I don't know, 1100 years too late.
Can you hear me now, Nicole? Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Hello, Nicole. I love you, Nicole.
Talking about my ancestors, Scarlett, a lot of my ancestors fought the French, and they are in
Yes.
the Doomsday Book because they hung them.
Yes, Nicole, I was asking about that church you were at. If you could go back and do a bit more on that church.
Hello, bringing up Charlemagne now. Here we go. Here we go.
I'd like that.
Stick your bloody funny... Go on, Scarlett, stick your funny bloody hood on.
Yes, yeah, if you could, that would be cool. That looks really nice, that church.
The English treated my people with great respect. Oh, the English were bastards at the time, trust me. Henry II and Eleanor of Aquitaine. Oh, so we've got royalty amongst us. Scarlett of Poppyfield.
No, you
You
have...
shall be known from this forward, Madame Scarlett of Poppyfield, with a little French accent thrown in. There's been so many wars between France and England. To this day, Scarlett, and I swear to you this is the truth, get any real Englishman and ask him, what do you think about France? Burn the bloody place. That's what they'd say. And then if you went to, say, Paris or Toulon, or even anywhere in Paris, and said to a real Frenchman, what do you think about England? Burn the place now, down to the ground, raise the whole country.
I like the
They
French...
still hate each other
I like
today.
I like the French cheesecakes. And the French accent.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, the animosity between Frenchmen and English will never go away. It's embedded, even through modern culture and all that. You know, the English say, oh yeah, Frenchmen, hairy armpits, smelly. And then the Frenchman will turn, it might be smelly and a bigger hairy armpits, but at least we wash. You know, we wash. Not every month like you. We wash every day. It's this ongoing battle between France and England. It will never end.
How's your ear, Nicole? Are your ears not hurting anymore?
Yeah, I think it's all over the world, Bucky. There's so much entrenched history. You never hear an Englishman talk about the occupation of the Normans from 1066. It's like we don't mention that.
Oh, that's good.
Like I say, the bitter rivalry between France and England it's very strange, because when the Normans did come here, you know, your William the Bastard, who was named by the French William the Bastard, not the English. I always found that quite funny. How did they call you William the Bastard? Why? Well, I don't have a real dad. Well, not one was married at the time. So they call me William the Bastard. He's forever known, not as William the Conqueror, but William the Bastard. That's fair enough, Bucky. Have a dislike for everyone equally. That way you can't be accused of picking sides. Hello, David.
Oh, here we go. David's in the room
Yeah,
now. Watch out, Nicole.
I think if you've been to Germany, Nicole, the Germans are even far more abrupt in how they speak, but they're not being aggressive. The French are a little bit like that, but as soon as the Frenchman finds out you're English, you'll cop it. They don't like you. Germany's beautiful. You would love Germany, Nicole.
Yeah, the place itself, a lot of the people have toned down, but there's still a lot of people they appear arrogant, but it's just how they are. So
Yeah.
the worst.
Yeah, it's how
I
they
hope
say
there's
the
no-
words.
Yeah.
It
I mean,
sounds aggressive,
I mean, I'm German.
but it's not.
Yeah. What's the name? The
Say,
Danish.
there we go. Say something sweet. I've got David's script here. Hello, I have missed you beyond belief, and I hope one day to stand on your shoulders and crush you like a snail. What's this about, Dave? What it is, David, it's your sexual chemistry. And the women will throw barbs at you. What it is, they just want to give you a big hug. Come here, Dave.
Yeah, they
Sexual
like
chemistry, that's what it is, Dave. Take it as a compliment,
a lot of the Germans.
particularly from Nicole.
seem arrogant. Same as the what is it?
Well, England got off literally quite lightly, even though there are some horrendous stories. I had family in Coventry that died, and in London. But as far as body count, England got off pretty lightly in the Second World War, without doubt. But when it comes down to why, the Second World War could have been a lot different if secret meetings had followed through, like England joining Germany in the Second World War. That was a proposal, trust me.
Buttercup's in the room. Lynn.
Hello, Lynn. Hello, darling.
No,
How are you?
that's Ella.
Oh, Ella's not here.
It's Lynn Russell.
Oh, it's that.
No, it's,
Lynn.
we call her Buttercup now.
Buttercup, that's all right. How are you going, Buttercup?
The hello seedlings. That's so funny.
There's stories I could tell you that I know of. I'm sure my wife could tell more. But a lot of the Germans during the Second World War were treated just as bad as everyone else. I remember a story that my wife's mother told me. Then her and her mother were fleeing a farm where they'd actually got some milk and some bread from the farmer, and they were running through the fields. A German plane came down and shot at them, followed by an American plane that came and shot at them. And 2 days later, they hid because the Russians were coming through, but they really hid when the German army came through. So the differential of war is that it's shit all round. The normal German population, think of it for a moment. They get defeated in war. In fact, most Germans didn't want the war, and it's taken them generations. And you can see by the efficiency of Germany, without the Second World War, they would have been the powerhouse of the world. Seriously, I would have an argument with anyone here who would deny that. Germany, since the Second World War, which was obliterated, their country, is now standing so tall and powerful monetarily because they're smart, efficient, wise investors. So, like I say, a different set of circumstances for a different type of war, or no war, would indeed make Germany today the powerhouse in the world. They're very powerful now, trust me, monetarily. I mean, the EU, and Nicole may or may not agree with me, is really just Germany. The rest of the countries are there, but Germany's been propping up Spain, Portugal, Greece, you name it. It's the only country that's actually propping them up is Germany, because they're about 3/4 of the EU as far as money. I think that's part of the reason, Nicole. I mean, I spoke to quite a few Englishmen, Irishmen, when I was over there about Brexit, and my thoughts are very clear. You voted to leave, get the fuck out. What do you do? Just go. In 5 years' time, if you think you'll rejoin, well, vote to go back in. But all this Nancy-pantsy mucking around, May was always going to get the flick. Boris will get in. He'll get the flick. It will not be resolved. What's going to happen is that you will leave Brexit on Europe's terms. You'll face tariffs, you'll face import bans. It'll be horrendous. And that's what will happen. But England, Britain voted to leave. So do it. And the Irishman said, yeah, I don't agree with it, but you're right. They voted, so we should go. That's an Irishman.
David just asked before how the cornbread was. It was okay, David, but I will never ever use gluten-free cornmeal again.
Hello, Ella.
Yep, that's your
Ella
girlfriend
Bella. Here you going. Woohoo!
there.
Yes, it's late. JP is underneath an old bus stop out near Redfern. He's got some newspaper wrapped in his coat. Got a little fire going. Just got enough power on his phone to say goodnight. Night, JP.
Oh, just put your super chat.
Soup kitchen's open at 5.
JP, put your super chat on. We'll chuck you a couple.
Yeah. But of all the indifferences, the world's a good place. Get out and see it. Actually, you've got to be pretty rich to buy in Redfern now, mate.
Oh my God, Redfern, JP, really?
I didn't catch what David said.
I was explaining that don't buy gluten-free cornmeal.
Yes, you
and
can't.
he
If you
said-
can't let go, Nicole, you can't grab something new to hold on to. It's a very similar old saying. But I do hope that it's just sorted. The whole country was a mess. People didn't know what was going on. There's people marching in the street to go out of Brexit still, and people marching in the street to stay. You voted. It's a democracy.
See you, VMAX.
There should never have been a question of, oh, we've changed our mind. It's like you voting in a political party and then everyone marching in the street saying, we've changed our mind. It was a decision by referendum, which is law, which is just absurd that there's been 2.5 years of just spinning around like a fly with one wing off.
Oh, Bucky's got his daughter's graduation party at his house today.
Oh dear. Good luck, Bucky. See you, JP.
What time is it? Bucky will come over. See you, JP.
There's no way I'm going over with a bunch of girls screaming around and through Bucky's house. In
That'd
fact,
be fun.
if Bucky's smart, he'll be getting a taxi going down the pub. Teenage girls. Oh dear. Yeah. Well, look, we're looking forward to come to Canada and the US. But we're not seeing a lot of the US. We're seeing a fair bit, but probably not going to go near the West Coast, to be honest.
What's
It's
the
just
West
beach
Coast?
and sand.
What's the West Coast again? I forget.
Well, you've got Washington State, you've got California.
Well, then we'll have to go back another time because I want to see everything.
You're not going to see everything in our country. 4 o'clock start time.
Oh,
Well, you could be out of there in 15 minutes, Bucky. I bet it's costing you a fortune. My goodness. I can just imagine what it would be costing you. Prom dress. I remember someone telling me some daughter, 2.5 grand for a prom dress. Ooh, leftist propaganda. You're going to have to go to that square in London, Nicole, and get on that milk crate. Rip into them, which you're still allowed to do. Speaker's Corner. You ever been there, Nicole? Well, above everything else, of course, you've got Mr. Trump and the administration saying that they're just going to make Iran a car park. It's not sort of the diplomacy you'd like to see, not to start a war. Well, they did call Trump an idiot, mental case. But do you pull the trigger for that reason? Hello, High Country. Must be about 2 a.m. where you are. About that.
he's waking up to go fishing.
A bit early, yep, for that. Unless he's going to trek a long way. 1:26 a.m. And I bet it's bloody cold.
Yeah.
It's died down here. We had squalls and rain, and you look around here because it's so sandy. It looks like it hasn't rained.
We've got a bit of grass growing.
But that's winter. We don't normally get a lot of rain, so we don't mind the rain. But yeah, so this meal you're cooking tonight with noodles, Nicole, are you doing a video on it? Just curious. I do watch your videos.
Awesome, must be taking a break. She hasn't been.
Oh, she'll probably due a break, isn't she?
Yeah.
If she comes on, we'll just turn straight off.
She said she was going. Oh,
Not a problem.
I'll be going in shortly.
I haven't heard a word you've said. Something about. Did Nicole answer? Is she doing a video?
She hasn't answered yet. Going
Which
fishing.
is 10 minutes out of town, not hot country, what man's made. Man-made, is that going to be trout in there? A lot of man-made lakes here, and they throw in trout
And Nicole
and
answered.
yes, to udon noodles with king prawn cooked. Yum, sounds good. So does your mum eat all that, or is she into Asian food, or does she like kimchi? Because if she doesn't like kimchi, she's not eating many of your meals. God, quiet, isn't it?
Yes.
Tucker looks fantastic. He still needs to take it easy though.
Yeah, he still needs to rest.
You get that sort of, when you come out of an operation.
No, she doesn't like my food.
Okay.
She has problems with it too because of all the. Oh, that's not good.
There's some trout there because there's a stream that flows off the main. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, Tucker, when you come out of an operation and then you start feeling good, I mean, I'm speaking from experience, straight away you think you can take on the world, and then about a week later, all those things that have happened to you, it's like, oh, I better slow down. He needs just to kick back and relax. I'm not telling him not to come on, don't think I'm saying that, but it'd be nice if he just took a week off and chilled.
Yeah, that's true, Nicole. Yes.
Oh, it's just a wonderful thing. The things he's talking about but not saying is our collective, and everyone, not just people on YouTube, but people in his family. I have a great belief that we are all part of the same thing, and when there is a need required, be it emotional, physical, or whatever, we can collectively go about. Cradling is the best word I can describe to you. Cradling someone collectively. So he'll tell his story when he gets time to do it, and he can actually sit down and work it out. But that's what happened in his real life and online. People who genuinely wanted to help did. That's what happened. And you don't really need to know how, but you probably understand why people stood up and did what they did. Because we are all part of the same thing. We actually have the same ability, believe it or not, I believe, to make someone accountable for things that they've done in the exact same way. And you're starting to see that unfold.
Yes, you've got mind energy, you have other energies, when they all collect and get sent, it's amazing.
That's right, Scarlett. If you can imagine, and this is the description I can give you about what I believe, is if you can imagine that we're all part of a massive beehive, and if there's suddenly there's a bit of damage on that corner of the beehive, well, we all go over there and we fix it up as a collective. And I'm not a left-wing socialist, I'm just saying, as a collective of thought, mind and body, We can fix things.
The thought is as good as the deed.
Some people say it's praying. That's fine. Some people say it's crystals and mystic and whatever. That's fine. It's got to do with why, not how. How's not important. I'll take my shirt off. Doesn't matter to me. I'm still a bit of a hunk, Bucky. All right. I'll do a video with my shirt off.
Yep, you've done well.
Then you do
Nicole.
one with yours.
You've come a long
And we'll
way.
get someone clever to put them side by side.
I just read what
There's
Bucky wrote.
Seeds, and there's Bucky. There you go, mate. All right. There you go, Bucky. Junkie. I'm having to lend to you, Bucky. I played a lot of sport for a very long time. So I am been gifted muscle memory. I'm getting old. Can't see my family naked, that's right. I can't have my trans child go into shock.
Well, I ain't your mother, Nicole. I'll be your sister, but I ain't gonna be your mother. I mean, Seed's bloody everybody's dad on YouTube. Don't put me in the bracket with him.
See, I'm with you, Dave, on that level, but I would utilise anything that's tangible, like a crystal, a stone, whatever. It's a tool of channeling. Do you know what I mean?
Our crystals.
It's not the crystal by itself. That does nothing. What it is, if energy is put into it and put out there.
No, crystals do have their own healing energy.
But I mean the effectiveness of using the crystal as you do.
As I do, but
Yeah.
you've also got to look after your crystals, but they also have their own energy. Yes, I do Reiki, Lynn.
I mean, this is true story. If it's cold here now. If you walked around the back here and I shook your hand, you say, geez, your hands are hot. My hands are always warm. Always. No matter what the temperature is, my hands are warm. We had a couple of Canadians on board the tour that we went on. They just couldn't believe it. Their hands were like icicles.
Yeah.
And we'd been out in the same weather and no gloves. And so
Yes, Reiki.
it's like warm hands don't mean anything. But if you can transfer your energy in whatever form you like I say, religiously, metaphorically, metaphysically, it doesn't matter. It's energy.
Yeah.
Just like when you go next door and help your neighbour dig a hole. That's energy, and it's something you're doing to help. Well, there's no difference between physically doing something or spiritually doing it, in my eyes, because we're all part of the same thing. No matter how big the universe is, we're all one and the same. And that is how we have the ability to help each other.
Everybody can.
And
do
it's not
healing.
like you don't need to know how. You really don't. If it's working, that's great. You need to know why people do it.
She read what Nicole wrote.
No?
She's,
Some sexual innuendo
no,
again?
she's curious why you're helping your neighbour dig a hole, and also where is his wife.
Well, I just help dig the hole, Nicole. I'm not responsible for any felonious
No, well,
action.
it just depends on your belief, because I do healing, and it's my belief is how I do it, and how I was taught. It comes from spirit, through spirit, which is you, to spirit, which is ever who I'm healing. And I do distant healing as well. And they say hands-on healings, but you hardly ever actually touch the person. Ella's sticking up for you.
Good on you, Ella. One thing I can tell you, that my belief is that death is not the final frontier.
No, I can't heal your bank balance, Lynn. That's something you have to do yourself.
No, money is good. Having money is a better form of poverty, but can't buy me love, love. Da, 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 da. it's like I say, the relevance. If you're laying in bed and you know your time is coming shortly, well, you're just leaving this world. You cannot take your gold, your silver, your money, your Porsche, anything like that. It doesn't go with you. So the relevance of wealth is short term. That's the truth.
Yeah, that's right. And Milo is
Did you tell
huggable.
Nicole that our daughter's got a dog and she called it Milo?
Milo. Oh no, I
But
didn't.
she didn't. She
I
didn't know.
did. I'll send you a picture, Nicole, because it's another Chihuahua, but it actually looks like a Kelpie.
Yep, that's true,
But
man.
it's a Chihuahua, and she called him Milo.
Oh, I didn't see its teeth.
This quote on happiness is so important. Thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle,
Yep.
and the life of the single candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. Yeah.
There's so many places around the world, and it's not set to one country, where they have what they call eternal flames. It could be in military honour, it could be religious, but there are many places around the world that have a flame that never goes out. So the importance of things like earth, wind, and fire are very tangible in most people's beliefs. We love the land we're in. Water is the most powerful one for me. I need to be near water, be it river or ocean, and I'm in between two, so that's good. But I can sit down the beach for hours, just watching the waves roll in and look at the birds flying around, fish frolicking on the edge. I can just sit there and watch ocean TV, and being in it actually is even more powerful for me. I love being in the water. There's something very special about the oceans. Maybe it's eternal within us. Maybe that's because where we came from, if you believe in evolution, we're little flappy fish. Except Nicole was like this sort of snapping turtle.
Yeah, that's true, Lynn.
It doesn't matter whether you religiously beliefs or whether you believe in evolution. We all believe in the same thing.
Did you call
That
Nicole?
there is some meaning.
Did you call Nicole a snapping turtle?
No, just metaphorically. You know, there I am coming out of the water.
I'll slap you.
And there's Nicole. Chunk, 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 chunk. Be eaten by a bird.
Oh yeah, the forest. I love the trees. That's probably. I mean, I've got an affinity with water, but I don't really like to go swimming. But the forest, trees, and plants and animals. Ah, I sometimes could spend more time with them than people.
I've just got a warning about low batteries, so you've got about 5 minutes, and then we will let someone else open up a hangout. Maybe Ella Bella, the ghost train.
Yes,
I'm
Ella's.
going to do a few ghost stories.
Yes, Ella's ghost train and her fingers, her knees.
I like telling stories. It's good fun. Mother Nature is just amazing.
It's
Powerful,
yeah.
unforgiving,
I can even
beautiful.
see the
all
aura.
the metaphors you can come up with. That's what Mother Nature is.
I can even see the aura around a tree. Have you ever tried to look at someone's aura? Has anyone can? It's been an interesting exercise. One
I
night.
think Fat Boy in a van tried to look at Norm's aura,
No.
but he wouldn't have a bar of it.
One night when Seed's battery doesn't go down, or we can get people on panel, I'll teach us how to look at people's auras.
Sounds good.
Oh yeah, I could handle
They sound
that.
like pets to me, those animals. But there's nothing like being near water. I think it brings out the hunter-gatherer in us. We like to fossick. We like to catch fish, shellfish, pippies, whatever. But it's like we were meant to be near water, no question. But there's...
Hey Carlos.
Hello, Carlos. It is nice to see you. But the thing about water, it's just so powerful in its essence, like tsunamis, obviously very powerful. Ocean tides are incredibly powerful. But the ocean can be gentle as well and relaxing. So it's all powerful, the ocean.
Yes, I'll have to look that up, Bucky.
What's that?
About trees.
What about them?
Bucky put in to read the book Meanings with Remarkable Trees by Thomas.
Hello, Carlos. But for me, I mean, I think because what I'm saying, my beliefs are that we're all part of something wonderful, and that encompasses everything, not just humans, but the land, the earth, the wind, the water. We're all part of that. We're all part of nature. You know, you walk down a river and there's beautiful forest and fish jumping out and deer and a bear, and it's all beautiful. But we forget for one moment that we're part of that as well. The bear looks at us, the fish looks at us, the bird looks at us. So don't take yourself out of the landscape, just saying, oh, it was beautiful, all this animals and water, it was fantastic. You were part of that scenery. We're meant to be part of that scenery. We often forget that we look at the 2D or 3D images around us and we ignore that we're part of it as well. Different perspectives from different angles. We'll clear that up for you. You stand on one bank of the river and then stand on another. Well, you see someone across the river. They're in your perspective. Bear, human, bird, ocean. So it's like, what does that mean? Well, for me, it means we're part of everything. We're all tied in to the one planet. And until they find another one that's like this one, we're stuck with this one. So forget about, global warming and all that other stuff. Just think about, we only got one planet, let's keep it clean. You know what I mean? If you've got one bedroom, you throw your dirty laundry in the corner and never clean it, it's going to get messy. So keep the planet clean just because we only got one of them.
Yep, you can learn a lot from an animal.
Yeah, I've been sitting watching these two groups of magpies the last 4 or 5 mornings. And they have this funny sort of initiation, like there's, 8 birds here and 7 from a different tribe. And they are tribes. And they do this funny little walk close to each other and then every now and then a bit of a, and then and what it is, I've figured out what it is. There's about 4 or 5 young birds in each of the groups. And they're looking at saying, well, you can take my daughter bird to your bird board. And then they can have this part of land. They literally have their territories. But when these two tribes come together, it's very unusual that they don't fight. They've been fighting a little bit, but they've been mainly sort of gathering. And the older birds are going up and down, having a chat, if you like. Maybe sorting out a dowry. Never know, bird dowry. A couple of bird bags of bird seed, some biscuits, and that tree on the left. And then you can take the little magpie daughter with you.
They also just fight over the territory because they're very territorial.
Animals are fascinating to watch. 2 magpies that we've got in this tribe that are next to us talk. There you go, one of them says. And he also does the kookaburra and he does parrot noises, but it's a magpie.
They've learned to talk because they've been brought up by a human. That's the only time they learn to talk like that. So somebody's looked after them and then let them go.
We've got 5G in Perth, all over the place. But even with 4G, I can be in a certain spot and I can get like 300 download speed.
Oh man,
It's just unbelievable.
I've only just learnt 4G. Why are they bringing 5G out?
Well, you don't have to learn it, but in the distance you could hear the train. No one on board.
That's your story, Ella.
The Boyd Express. Any tickets takers? Only $100. You can get on the Boyd Express. Leaving soon. Evening all.
Your phone's gonna die.
Yep, my phone's going to quit. Guys, I'm going to go. So is my boss.
Awesome, if you're out there, we love you.
Tucker, if you're watching, rest.
Tucker, we love you.
Rest. Keep looking at the nurses. That'll keep your mind busy. For the rest of you, have a great day. Embrace it. Enjoy it. Cook something wonderful like Nicole's going to cook. And stay away from the nastiness. There's a couple of streets. There's a couple of streets in Boyd that I don't want you going down. All right, I want you home by 9. Don't go down those streets. You know the streets I'm talking about. All right. Now get into bed,
now.
all of you. David, get into bed with Nicole, top to tail, and I'll see you in the morning. And behave yourselves. And remember, don't do something you'll ever regret, or at least don't tell anyone. Good night.